I was just doing a quick Facebook Live in my Dinner Time Rescue, a meal planning coaching program about milk and milk alternatives. So I thought I'd jump in here and talk to you guys about that too. I know it's a common question about your babies. When can I introduce milk? What if I don't want to use milk, or there's allergies, or we're a vegan family? So there are, lots of options for choosing milk alternatives over dairy. But just starting with babies, so between 0 and 12 months, their milk source should be breast milk or formula. Now in Canada, we suggest you can introduce a whole cow's milk between age 9 to 12 months. I think closer to 12 months is probably better, but of course you need to be a bit flexible, right? Depending on your schedules. If maybe you're going back to work when your baby's 12 months and you want to introduce milk a little bit earlier, sure, that makes sense. So if your baby is eating a fair amount of solids, getting in lots of iron from their food, then between 9 and 12 months is fine. Now for babies between 12 months and 2 years, the options again are either breast milk or formula. And if you're nursing and continue to nurse, then just, continue to do that. Your baby doesn't need any other milk. However, you can introduce the whole cow's milk or whole goat's milk. So the reason why milk alternatives like, hemp milk, coconut milk, almond milk aren't recommended until age 2 is because they're very low in fat and protein. Now, just as a comparison, a full fat cow's milk has about 8 grams of fat and has about 8 grams of protein. And many of the milk alternatives are low in either fat or protein or both. However, there are some better options. So if your baby's under 2 years of age and you want to look at adding a milk alternative for any reason, if you're vegetarian or allergies or just personal choice, I would recommend probably having a quick consult with a dietitian just to make sure that they can make up the fat and protein through their diet, as well as some vitamins and minerals. I've heard a lot of people talking about this Ripple pea milk. So this is pea protein, and it actually has 8 grams of protein, so the same amount of protein as in cow's milk, and it has 4.5 grams of fat. Whole cow's milk has about 8 grams of fat. So it's a little bit lower in fat, but this would probably be one of the better alternatives for a baby or child over age 2, except the problem in Canada is that it's not fortified with calcium and vitamin D. Now in the States, I believe it is, and hopefully it will be here soon. But if you're looking for a milk alternative for your family, babies over 2, you definitely want to choose an enriched or fortified version. And there's a few ways you can tell. Usually it'll say fortified or enriched on the front, but one of the quick ways is just to look at the nutrition facts table. You can see that this contains 0% of the daily value for calcium. If it's fortified, it would be about 30%. So you can know that that is not fortified with calcium. Usually they'll have a fortified version and a non-fortified, so I probably just bought this one by accident. You do have to look at the labels to tell the difference. Some other decent alternatives. So soy milk actually is higher in protein. It has 8 grams, so equivalent amount of protein as a whole cow's milk. It is lower in fat, but that is another option. This Vegemo is a mix of, pea, tapioca, and potato protein. So it has 6 grams of protein compared to 8 grams in milk, so pretty good. And then 2.5 grams of fat, so a little bit lower. But not too bad. Many of the other alternatives like this almond milk has 1 gram of protein, 2.5 grams of fat, so a little bit lower. The coconut milk has 4.5 grams of fat and only 0.5 grams of protein. So, it's a bit of a balance looking at, do you want extra protein? Do you want extra fat? And there are ways to add both fat and protein. Of course, there's lots of foods that contain protein, lots of foods that contain fat. Milk is not your only source of those, macronutrients. For myself, I often choose cow's milk. I feed that to my kids and I have it in my lattes, but I also have I like the unsweetened almond milk too, just to change it up. And if I have that, I throw in a little bit of collagen for protein. So this has about 6 grams of protein. And you can add fat to them as well. But again, if your baby's under 2, especially under 1. The milk is their main source of nutrition, at least under 1. And even for toddlers, it's the easiest way to get them the fat and protein and nutrients. So if they're missing that in their diet because of your choice or because of, allergies or other reasons, just be conscious to get those different nutrients through various foods, and maybe chat with your dietitian. And if you do look for the milk alternatives, there's 2 things to look for. I mentioned to make sure that it's enriched or fortified with calcium and vitamin D. And you also want to make sure it's unsweetened. So most of them, it's pretty easy to see. So the sugar will probably be 0 if it's unsweetened. It might be, up to 5 grams just from some natural sugar. If sugar is added, it'll be one of the first 2 ingredients. And the sugar can be, 20 grams per cup as opposed to 0. So really, really high in sugar. And normally it will say unsweetened somewhere on the label as well. So again, lots of options out there for adults. It's perfectly fine to choose any of them. I would still look for an unsweetened, enriched version if you're choosing those for an adult. For kids under 2, you have to be a little more conscious of choosing something that has higher fat and protein in it if you're not choosing dairy. And again, if you're breastfeeding, you can just continue breastfeeding, and your baby or toddler doesn't need milk or milk alternatives. So I hope that helped a little bit. If you guys have any questions about introducing milk into your baby's diet, or what type of milk, or you have something that you like to share, that you found a different product I didn't talk about, feel free to comment below or ask any questions, and I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching.